we have to mention Elastic Plastic, who, if
bring that up.
Don, if I was the guy who brought you to Horizon and showed you how to have fun, he was the guy who, for me and a lot of other people, like really showed us how to script. I didn't even know if I was ever going to script in there. And then he started showing me stuff and the bug stuck for me. But
yeah,
he is my technical counterpart. He was my technical counterpart in Game Grid as well. Like I had 90% of a game, but like the throwing mechanic didn't feel really good. And he just popped up, talked to me. We got to become friends, and I said, hey, I've got a problem here. I got 90% of a game, but it just doesn't feel good to throw this disc. It just so happens that's what he does best. So he came in and did that little extra 10% that made the game. I mean, it wouldn't have done as well if it didn't feel so good to throw that disc. That goes back again to the collaborative nature of a tool where people could just show up. Now, maybe I'd love Desktop Editor more if someone could just show up in my office randomly and say, hey, what are you doing? Like, oh, you're stuck with this problem. I know how to fix this. You know, that'd be pretty cool. This sounds like the natural segue into the AI portion that every technology podcast has to have now. We can talk about the AI component. Because, I mean, I guess there's a little bit of that happening now.
As these AI tools become more specialized, become more prevalent in the market, and become more accessible to people for whatever their use cases might be, how are you guys leveraging AI?
We use a lot of it in concepting. As a game designer, you know, for me to be able to just like type in something and say like, God, this is what I'm picturing in my head. Here is a picture, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Outside of that ideation phase and like maybe early prototyping, we generally, everything is bespoke, right? It's all handcrafted. AI is a tool, never say never, but like right now it can't replace a good 3D modeler, right? You know, I've seen some like really cool mesh generators. They're still not quite there. And particularly for Horizon, which is very picky about how it renders things and like about models that get imported. And like for optimization purposes, you really need your modeling talents to be like super tight. AI has been really helpful in ideating and like creating like, hey, make something like this, you know, but it's not something that ends up in our final product.
There's been some huge advancements in like the 2D portion of this. Like we all know image generation is better now. Now we're seeing really good videos. For 3D and other content like this, I feel like AI is in its like Will Smith eating spaghetti version 1.0 stage. They're garbage 3D file. They're garbage, but they give you a gist of where things are going. I don't know it for a fact, but the same way I can predict that computers are going to be faster next year, this AI stuff is it's just going to get good enough soon enough that it's going to happen within time that we should be planning for it. I use Viscom. It's as like a visual assistant. So like when I'm sketching out ideas, I'll have Viscom open and it will like try and guess what I'm sketching. And it does a pretty good job sometimes. It influences me and I influence it just while sketching to get like more ideas out quicker. I guess in the VR stage of things, I think the best example for me would be like, I made this game called Lore of Ubi. It's not the most popular game I've ever made, right? It's not the most popular experience I've ever made, but it's something that I've really wanted to make for a long time. When I first got the Oculus back in like 2017 or 16 or whatever year it was, I really, really, really wanted to recreate the original levels to Metroid. Just because as a kid, I played that game so much and I just wanted to walk around inside. I did it. And then I used VR Toolkit. It was a plugin for Unity to actually import the model and then walk around. I was able to do it. And I did it just for me. And it was so satisfying. And I remember thinking, geez, but no one is ever going to see this for me because one, it's Nintendo IP. You can't mess around with Nintendo IP. They'll cut you off right away. And what am I going to do with this? This is such a niche platform. No one's really going to see this. But then years later, when I was in Horizon, I made Lore of Ubi, which is like an ode to dungeon crawlers. Like it's original stuff. It's not tied to IP because we've learned those lessons, but like you still want the nostalgia. So for anyone who played any dungeon crawlers back in the 1980s, this world open, you get in there, you don't know what you're getting into, then this world kind of opens up to you and there's a castle in front of you and you grab your sword and your shield and you go inside and there's all the stuff from those old lava dripping and like big eyeballs looking at you and like then there's ghosts chasing you, you have to hit them with their sword, all that stuff. I spent so much time making that because in my mind, I just wanted, I think building it was the thing I liked most. I wasn't in a hurry to finish it because the building it, I was in there creating it around me. And I guess what I'll say is, and I thought about this a lot, for AI, if I could be doing a little bit of that and then having it create the surroundings around me based on what I'm doing, almost like, Ben, imagine if your team, like, what an interesting way to create if you start to create a little bit of something and then your AI assistance is kind of like a goo that surrounds you. Oh, you're building ghosts, huh? Like, let me build a couple other ghosts. Like maybe they're, oh, you're building a dungeon. Okay, I see. You want a purple dungeon, stone walls. Like, let me just kind of like build that out for you in the surface, and whatever you do, I will fill out the environment. That might be, autofill from Adobe Photoshop, but like in VR, like that would be huge. That might be a way that we can go. Or we could just do a desktop editor for mobile games. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows,
I'm not
right?
bitter.